MLB playoffs. The weather's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Undefeated.
Dude, that's why I'm a fan of that like September time, bro. It's not like super 100-degree hot, and it gets nice and cool right as the sun starts to set. Nice time though, bro. It's all right though, bro. We're in the middle of it all right now. Here we go. Show is live, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Hold on.
Woo.
I sound like I'm far away.
You need to get the stuff like when we have a bad take. You know how like in a Call of Duty on the Gulag, when you lose, everyone's like,
Oh yeah.
the crowd boos you. They're like, boo,
Yeah,
yeah,
you get booed. Yeah, I need to boo. Need to be booed.
yes, boo.
But damn, I don't have an echo. Turn that on. Here we go. Check, check. All right, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again, mainly talking about sports today, as we will be rocking and rolling, talking about the main subject as we are following the NBA Finals here on the show. We're also going to catch up on a lot of the news that broke over the week as we were taking a short break. We got a lot of wrestling updates on our last show. We'll now be back on this show talking about sports. Justin, leading into it, let's talk about our main topic here. The New York Knicks not only took one, but both games over in San Antonio as they go up 2-0, heading back to New York tonight. Justin, what are your thoughts on the final so far? Are you surprised that the Knicks are up 2-0, given the Spurs gave the Thunder one of the best teams, one of their best games?
Very surprised at what's going on in the finals. I think the Spurs are intro. I think that you know the moments at the end of games, the moments looked a little big for Wemby, which I'm not going to hold him too far on it. He's young. I think people underestimate the youth of players in those moments, and sometimes you just miss shots, man. There's no. Sometimes people look into it too much. You know, you don't because he'll miss that same kind of shot mid game, and it just doesn't feel as big. You know, so sometimes you just miss shots, man. But there are times where the moments look too big. How much of that? I wonder how much of that Oklahoma City series took out of the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to give credit to the Knicks, man. They've played well. I mean, they're playing well. You can't take nothing away from them, man.
Yeah, bro, you bring up the Spurs, too. You got to remember they played 2 7-game series, and if the Thunder were gassing out at the end of their series, I imagine Wemby and the Spurs were very tired coming back home against the Knicks and San Antonio. And also, they're a very young team, bro. You got to look at the talent that's on the Knicks. These are all very experienced guys that they brought in as trades. None of these guys were picked up through the draft. They brought in all these guys and built one hell of a team who got close last year when they fell to Indiana, and here they are in the finals, bro. They look really good. I'm very excited to see. I don't know. It all depends on how well they look tonight. Not only if they win, but if they look super dominant, because San Antonio did catch up. They caught up to them in game 2, brought the game close, had the lead for a little bit, and only lost by a bucket. If the Knicks can dominate this game 3, bro, it's a matter of time at this point, and the sweep is coming. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they better win tonight. That's all I know. At the end of the day, they better win tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're already in trouble. So, I don't know, man. We'll see how it goes.
And for sure, Wemby has a blind confidence. He's already in the media today saying that, being down 0-2 is what I've built for. This is what I'm here to do. He's taking on that leader mantle of wanting to be the guy for sure. So I like his mentality, bro. We'll see what's going on in game,
Yeah, but you just
game
have
3
to
tonight in New York. And, bro, pray for the city of New York if they win this championship in New York at MSG, because it's going to be torn to the ground.
If they win tonight, I'd go ahead and get call it military. Get it in New York, just in case tomorrow.
Get the National Guard there, bro. I mean, the president's there tonight, so they're going to be safe. But if they get something going, whoop.
Yeah, I actually expected the Spurs to win this series, but you also got to take into account the Knicks were on some rest, man, because they won their last series early. And so the Knicks came in well rested, prepared, stole those 2 games in San Antonio. Man,
Oh, bro,
it's not looking good.
if they sweep not only the conference finals but the finals, that's going to be one of the best displays of just dominance you've seen in the NBA in a little while,
Danhausen's
bro.
getting paid. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah, getting paid heavily. But
I
let's
might pay
move
the
on
man.
to one of the bigger news last week, bro. While we were gone, one of the most unfair trades the NFL will ever see, as Myles Garret has joined the Los Angeles Rams in a trade. The Browns send Myles Garret to the Rams. They receive Jared Verse, a 2027 first rounder, 2028 second, and a 2029 third. Justin, what was your reaction to this last week? And do you think it is a real threat that Aaron Donald comes back?
I don't think Aaron Donald's coming back. I kind of saw a post on social media with this lady. I don't think that's happening.
But my number one reaction was kind of what you laid into it. Unfair, not fair. Why? Why?
How was this allowed?
How can they be anything but the Super Bowl favorite? They were already the Super Bowl favorite.
That was another thing. Let me say that real quick. So prior to this trade, they were the plus 800 favorite, and then they moved to plus 600, bettering their odds to win the Super Bowl.
It's almost not even worth putting money on them. That's how favored they are. I mean, my goodness, man.
It's hard to not pick them, bro. It's the fact that, like I say, it's unfair because people were pointing out, like, even if Aaron Donald doesn't come back, bro, they still brought in so many pieces to a defense that was a top 5 defense already, bro. And then they got the defensive player of the year who just broke the sack record on a team where he didn't really have any help on that D-line, bro. And now he's going to go where he has help all over the defense. It's insane. It is insane to think that Myles Garret gets to join the Los Angeles Rams, and now he's going to see what it's like to fucking win, bro. He's going to see what it's like. He's going to have the opportunity to truly pin his ears back and attack the quarterback, bro. Because a lot of these games, not only do they have a super defense, they have a very high-powered offense, bro. He's going to be able to hunt. Simply just hunt.
Well, also think about their division, right? And in their division, they don't really have a mobile quarterback that can really superly get away from him.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, and they're like, oh, I mean, it's bad for the NFC, man. It's just bad. Like, even my Cowboys, even if you're looking at it outside of their division, if you're in their conference, you're like, well, even if I do get to the playoffs, I got to get through those guys. And it's just not fair, man. Like the Rams do, the Rams do a great job of like not caring. They don't care about draft picks, and they do well by just putting their chips on the table, man.
There we go. Yeah, but I mean, look, they don't have to care about draft picks at the end of the day, bro. Look what they've done since the time they traded away Jared Goff. They've rebuilt, and they're back where they are now. I have to figure out this mic problem off air. But, Justin, we got some breaking news here. And I'm going to dig into this.
Haters going to hate.
Because we have had some. Yeah, this is legit. Holy shit. I'm going to do my best job here reading this as we are having a little technical difficulty. The Big 12's ADs tell Yahoo Sports they've had serious talks on not playing Texas Tech. One SEC AD says there should be conversations about not playing Texas Tech in any sports. After the ruling of what happened this morning going on into our breaking news segments, Justin, you can comment on this. Texas Tech ADs and Brandon Sorsby, their quarterback, he has been ruled eligible to participate in the NCAA, and it seems like the Big 12 is not happy about this, bro. What do you think?
I think there is some truth to it, but so Tech has put themselves in a position where you're getting the media, you're getting everything you want, and there's only going to be one way to get out of it, and look successful at it. You have to win, right? You put yourself in you better win, or you're going to look stupid. So They better fucking win, dude. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. I'm cool with it all if you win.
Yeah.
But if you don't win, you just look stupid. And everyone's going to point their finger at you and laugh at you, rightfully so. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it because you have a guy willing to put up the money. But everything is pointing towards
that's the thing, though, Justin. You got to remember what is Cody Campbell doing in Congress right now compared to what just got allowed for Texas Tech. That's the complete opposite, is it not?
There is some.
He's up there at Congress preaching save college football, but yet here's what happens at the school he represents.
There is something to be said about it. It's like you had to know that like it's almost. I can't believe they let that court happen in Lubbock. That was kind of wild.
Well, it seems like that was part of the plan, bro. Because it's no secret, bro, that the NCAA gets undermined at any turn because somebody will just sue them. That's what's going to happen. They're just going to get sued. But the fact that not only is this a problem with his gambling, and he says he has a mental problem, right? But like I said, Cody's not only a quarterback that he's paying is now eligible to play.
Facts, Joseph.
Not only that, a quarterback he's paying is now eligible to play, and then he tries to pull this shit with paying out these teams and playing Texas.
Well, let's put it in perspective for any of the listeners who aren't familiar with Lubbock, right? Having that court in Lubbock, Texas Tech is the fuel that runs this whole region. And if you don't think that the city council and them judges have that in their back mind, knowing that the beneficiary of Tech winning and maybe allowing him to play for that reason alone is that Tech is the fuel for this county, for the South Plains, then you're fooling yourself. That's why I'm a little surprised that they allowed the court to be in Lubbock.
I'm not surprised at all, bro. What do you mean? Money.
Because, like, if you're familiar with this area, you know that this city council is going to do anything, and these judges in these county courts are going to do anything to make sure that Tech is viable, I should say.
But like I said, but doesn't that go against everything that he's preaching about saving college football? He's doing the complete opposite of
Cody can say what he wants, man. Cody don't want to do anything. But
that's not fair, though. That's a complete contradiction to what you're claiming you're trying to
heel. It's almost like you said. It's almost like Joseph is like Jeeves is saying he's turned Tech heel, man.
Bad guys. Then there's nothing completely wrong with that. But it's like.
But if you're gonna be the bad guy, be the. If you're gonna be
the bad guy, don't act like you're the victim, bro.
But then be the bad guy and win.
Yeah, you have to win, though. If you want to be a bad guy, you have to win. And that goes into this conversation that we were going to have a couple weeks ago, but we got tied up in the Women's College World Series, which Texas won again, back to back. Justin, a lot of feelings got hurt in the city of Lubbock, like you said, when head coach of Texas, Steve Sarkisian, said there is a team in our state that plays in another conference that has a schedule that I would argue if our 2s and 3s would go, they would go undefeated and make the college football playoff this year. And everybody in Lubbock got offended about that, Justin. Even though he named no names, he didn't say y'all weren't that good. He just said your schedule was pretty cupcake. Now, I'm going to remind you before you answer. When he said this about Texas A&M, you had zero problem with addressing Texas A&M as having a soft schedule. Justin, your thoughts on the Texas head coach comments on a certain team schedule in the same state being softer than fresh cupcakes?
Okay, let's start off with this. Let's not go certain team. It's shot at Texas Tech. That's first and foremost. We know it. He's talking about Texas Tech. There's no doubt about it. Secondly, he's not wrong about the schedule. I'm not saying he's wrong. The Tech, I said it the moment I saw the schedule release, and it's actually what got Tech beat in the playoffs. I thought last year. Mm-hmm. Is that they just when they went up against Oregon, they had not seen nothing like that, and it's the same thing that happened to Ohio State and A&M. But we said the same thing about Ohio State when they finally went up against Indiana. Their schedule was too soft. I mean, Texas was the best team they had played all season, and they barely beat Texas early in the season. So he's not wrong about the schedule. But I'm also not gonna. I mean, of course, if you're gonna back your team, if he's gonna make comments like that, you're gonna say some shit. So I don't mind them saying some shit either.
Right. No
I
doubt.
wish, and it's like your brother pointed to a good point, is that the game's probably going to happen, but it's going to be next year when no one really cares anymore, and that's probably and that sucks.
Yeah, a lot of the
And
stars,
even as a Tech fan, let me go on record saying that if any Tech fan thinks that they'd beat Texas, they're out of their mind. That's not going to happen.
in anything, let's add that because that's been proven so far.
But I also wish Texas would respond and take the bait, because they at the same time Tech called you on your shit.
Why would I address a lower form of a football club?
Because you already did by making the statement in the first place.
All we were just doing was pointing out some facts.
Oh, it doesn't work both ways. It doesn't work both ways now. No, it doesn't. If you're gonna talk when we call your bluff, then let's do it. If not, then shut up.
Why? Okay, hold on. So how come when we said that about Texas A&M and Ohio State, nobody batted an eye, but you say that about Texas Tech, everybody gets offended?
Well, because Tech fans are going to speak up. That's just what it is.
Let me ask you this: what about his statement? If Texas was to have Texas Tech schedule, would they not win the Big 12 and make the college football playoff?
With their ones, not their threes.
With their twos and their threes, the team.
No, they wouldn't.
The team that's going to play next year would go to your schedule right now and
not win with their twos and threes. They would not go undefeated with their twos and threes.
So you're telling me the team that had the top 5 recruiting class for the next 2 years wouldn't win the Big 12 and make the football playoff?
No, not with their twos and threes.
You're out of your fucking.
With their ones, they'd go undefeated. With their twos and threes, it's not going to happen.
No, I'm not even talking about undefeated. I'm just talking about winning the Big 12 and they make the football playoff.
Not with their twos and threes.
Yes, the fuck they would.
No, they would not. No, they would not.
In the Big 12.
With their ones, how many Big 12 titles did Texas win over the last 10 years? Their very last one, that was it. With their ones. So I don't want to hear it.
And that wasn't even their best team, bro. That wasn't their best.
But it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
They're not, because you still have good teams in the Big 12.
It proves once you put a slightly good team together, you're going to
okay. Because if you're in the Big 12, right, you're not going to beat Utah, you're not going to beat Arizona State, and you're not going to beat Tech with your twos and threes.
Hold on. They put a slightly good team together, won the Big 12. They put a better team together, almost won the SEC.
Almost only counting horseshoes and hand grenades, buddy.
There's nothing dangerous about the Big 12 because Oklahoma and Texas left.
Texas today are not going to beat Utah, Arizona State, or Tech with their twos and threes.
You're talking about teams that had trouble beating each other, and then that would have zero chance in the football playoff, bro.
Maybe, but you're talking about beating them with your twos and threes.
Yes, because we have that much depth, is what he's saying.
You're not beating those 3 teams with your twos and threes.
We got 2 squads over at Texas, ready to roll, son.
I guarantee you're not beating those 3 teams with your twos and threes.
You're saying I should worry about Utah. Who you say? Arizona State, who ain't won nothing. Utah, who ain't won nothing. And who else?
You cannot beat Texas Tech with your twos and threes.
I completely disagree. What defense do you have that's going to stop Texas, bro?
Your twos? I have a good enough.
No. I completely disagree with that. The twos and the threes, bro. The Big 12 is one of the weakest conferences in the NCAA for a reason, bro. For a reason. There's reasons why they're trying to drag big name schools to the Big 12 so they can have more of a reputation again. No school in the Big 12 can do what Oklahoma and especially what Texas just did. Go into one of the top conference and schedule yourself.
But you act like
because you have.
See, we forget things though. Did you not lose to an unranked Florida last season?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not as good as you think you are.
I think that Florida team would win the Big 12. That's how bad.
You're not as good as you think you are.
That Florida team
this year, I think your ones are good enough to win it all.
Big 12, they win the Big 12.
I think Texas's starting lineup is good. I think Texas's team is good enough to win it all. I do not think I don't think anybody's good enough to run with twos and threes through a whole conference in the Big 12. Nobody.
Yes. No, not just any
Nobody.
The Big 12.
Nobody's. I don't think anybody's team is.
If the biggest threat you have is Utah, yes, absolutely.
No, Tech is the best team in the Big 12.
No, the Big 12. That's fine, cool. I'm talking about let's take them out. He's saying replace the two teams, replace them. Texas, instead of Texas Tech, you have Texas there, and they play Texas Tech schedule. They would go undefeated with who y'all are playing.
With their ones,
with their twos and their threes,
they're not. No, they would not. No, they would not
win the Big 12 championship.
No, they would not.
They would for sure.
And at the end of the day, we can sit here and argue about this all. Then play us. That's what we said. Then play us.
What for? What, bro? You just said.
Then shut up. Then shut up.
Zero confidence.
Then shut the fuck up.
You've got zero confidence that Texas Tech even wins that game. Why do you want that game for? Why?
Because if you want to talk,
if you want to ass beating that bad,
then beat us. Then beat us. Then talk. But if you're not gonna play, then shut up.
Beating that bad, just make the playoff again, because it'll come.
We'll make the playoffs in the first place. How about that?
We've made the playoffs 2 or 3 times already. This is your first time. Just like we've won the. Just like we've
my
won
issue with Texas. This is my issue with Texas. Y'all won nothing.
Time.
You haven't even won the SEC yet. Win it. Win it first. Win the SEC first. Worry about your own conference.
I'm just saying, bro. There's a reason.
Win the SEC first.
There is a reason that Texas and Oklahoma left that weak conference, bro.
And neither one has won the SEC.
But both have made the playoffs multiple times. Isn't that strange?
1-0.
Strange.
And have 1-0.
Hey, man. It's all about getting to the dance, bro.
Last year, it didn't matter who made it. No one was beating Indiana.
And you can't win if you don't score nothing either.
Doesn't matter. Didn't matter. Wasn't no one beating Indiana last year anyway.
This is what it's talking about. When
I'd rather lose the way we did to Oregon than to go to.
About when we say we want the best teams in the playoff, bro. Not some slapdick Big 12 team that made it because they have to allow conference champions in there. No, bro.
What do you think Texas would? What do you think would have happened to Texas against Indiana last year?
It was proven that 3-4 teams didn't belong. Texas A&M, Texas Tech, North Texas, even though they scored, those teams didn't fucking belong.
Texas wouldn't have beat Miami or Indiana anyway, so it doesn't matter.
We would have beat Miami, bro.
Stop it. See, stop it.
Texas wouldn't have beat the team that only kicked field goals in the first game. Right.
You would not have beat Miami or Indiana.
Right. No, we wouldn't beat Indiana. Indiana was going to win it all.
Nobody was beating Indiana.
Go back on the archives. I had that predicted on the show.
Yeah, no one was beating Indiana.
But
I don't think you beat Miami either.
Now joining us on the show, ladies and gentlemen, coming in hotter than ever. Make some noise. Hold on. Bringing them up. Make some noise for Big Supermax, everybody.
Boo. Yes, boo.
Joseph, welcome to the show.
For the third time, that name is retired. Now, see, this is my problem.
Say his name right.
Of you, though, is you guys are arguing a point that wasn't made. And so this is where I have to come in and bring some professionalism to the show. You guys are arguing about who would win the Big 12. Justin's sitting there saying stupid shit like they wouldn't beat Utah and Tech. Utah and Texas Tech isn't playing itself on its own schedule. Utah is not on their schedule this year. The only issue, and Stark didn't even say would definitely. He said they could. See, there's key words here. We got to read. Okay?
I'm saying they definitely would.
Here's the thing, though, right? There's one potential maybe hiccup on that schedule. I'll give Justin that is Arizona State. But other than that, yes, the 2s and 3s of the University of Texas Longhorns probably make the more than likely make the college football playoffs, and they more than likely win the Big 12.
I agree.
Well, because to be Big 12 championships, who are you going to play in the Big 12 championship?
Probably Utah.
Who's to say Utah's the same team, though?
Okay, but you would play. You'd still. You're not going to beat the other Big
Okay,
12
but but
championship
but but
contender with your twos and
but
threes.
but
Hold on.
but you're trying to argue. You don't know that. You don't know who the other team is. That's what I'm saying. So he said the schedule. What's on your is Utah on your schedule right now today? Yes or no?
No, they're not.
Okay, then thank you. Now to Justin's point though, Texas does need some sort of response. I said this the other day. Um, Look, the likelihood of this too. Okay, here's the problem with this, right? Uh, Tech knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, listen closely. Okay, I'm about to educate you guys. I'm about to educate all the audience too. All seven of y'all listening.
Got
Uh, Shout out Carlos. Texas Tech knows two things. One, they know that the networks aren't going to want to give up revenue for either game. Tech is a big revenue for their network.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is a big revenue for that network. And they also know that the SEC is not going to allow it because this is going to cause too much chaos. Now, if it's just about the networks, here's the easy solution. It's so hot, right? The game's on fire. Then you just, I mean, what a perfect storm, right? Texas and Tech meet in the college World Series for softball.
Mm-hmm.
The two best pitchers in the nation face off back to back years, um, adding to the already one sided ass whooping rivalry that is Texas and Tech. But and so like the money's there, right? Here's my simple solution. You get Netflix involved. They buy out the contracts, so that for the networks, everybody wins. Here's the issue, and here's another thing that Texas Tech knows, don't want to give up. Okay, neither school wants to give up a home game. Okay, this is just business. Texas is not going to leave Austin, not go to Dallas. That's a home game. That's big revenue, right? You've got to, unless you're going to guarantee the revenue that they're going to make. Tech
Correct.
don't really want to give up revenue. Now, in a perfect world, right? I'm going to stand on this. Is what I'll say. In a perfect world, Texas says let's do it, and Texas gives up the home game and goes to Lubbock to lay an ass whooping on the Red Raiders in front of the home crowd. That's me agreeing with Justin that Texas does need to respond,
Mm-hmm.
um, because they did get punked on national media. Now, with that being said, though, the logistics of it, it just doesn't make sense. And Texas Tech knows that. Cody Campbell knows that. You don't become a billionaire being a dumb person. But it's good. It's good. It's a good look, right? It's a good look
Yeah.
because you know
It generates a
if
lot of attention.
yeah, because if Texas goes undefeated, makes the playoff, hey, we're just that good. And then if Texas ends up, you know, losing a game somewhere along the line, oh, well, see, that schedule wasn't that easy.
Yeah.
So Texas Tech right now is coming out of this looking great from a perspective standpoint,
Well, I
regardless
just
of which.
and my thing about a response for Tech is I'm surprised they haven't come out and said that, like, just trash talk Tech a little bit. Well, that doesn't make sense to go play you bottom feeders. That's my surprise is that they maybe
Well,
not say
so
it
so
that way, but it could be getting set up for future. That both of them are not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, Justin, I think earliest we'll get that game 2027, like we talked about. I just think at that point Arch is gone. The Tech defense of last year is already gone. So it's you got to know, you got to have a
I mean, let's be honest. College football right now hopes that game happens in playoffs.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's the best case
That's
Your
scenario.
best bet is your best case scenario is that they draw each other at some point in the playoff, and it pays off big, right? Big, maybe a New Year's Day game, maybe a something like that. You're
Be
yeah.
hoping,
the biggest
right? You're
payoff.
hoping
And
For
I'm
sure.
already saying Texas will beat Tech. It won't even be close. Tech's team last year had a better shot at beating Tech. I'm not saying they would, but Tech's team last year had a
that.
better shot.
But
That's what I've
here's
been
my
trying to
issue.
tell.
Here's my issue with you and a lot of Tech fans, Justin. Okay, because we've been friends a long time, and you've lived in Lubbock your whole life. We lived right up here, up the road from Lubbock our whole life. It's so funny and it's so amusing to me that now all of a sudden, right, Coach Sark, says takes a little jab, and it's a jab, just because he didn't say their name. Let's be honest here. Let's not bullshit each other. It was a direct shot at Tech. But
A
Justin,
fair one. A fair one.
A fair one.
But here's my thing: when has Tech, even since Texas left the Big 12, when is Tech not taking shots at Texas? When is somebody from Tech, whether
I
it's a
have been on
coach?
record saying this from the get go. That has been an issue with me for a long. Remember, I've said it. I'm on record saying it. Tech
Okay,
fans here in Lubbock live and breathe beating Texas. That's all they want. They just want Texas. That's their biggest rivalry, and it's not as big of a rivalry for you guys as it is for people
and,
here. That is
and
100% true.
that's the issue, though, right? So now it's all of a sudden all these Tech fans want to tell us to shut the hell up, and it's like, well, hold on, bro.
And it's a
Why
one-sided
can't
rivalry. Let's be honest.
what? Yeah, yeah,
Tech has
this,
one big
yeah.
moment in that. Tech has one big moment in that entire rivalry,
Since we've been alive,
and that's
they
very true.
we haven't played in 2 years. So let's say 33 games they played. 31 games they played.
Mm.
It's
Texas
so
Tech has
important
only
for
won
Tech.
eight.
Look, it's so important for Tech that even when they knew y'all were leaving, they tried to set up like a 8 year
They try to
an
contact
8 year game. Yeah, they try to contract them into 8 years. That's how.
Now, where I'll give Tech respect is though is they've have always still wanted to play Texas, where Texas A&M was through the biggest fit when Texas came into the SEC. And
hmm
not to your point
A
about
and
the
M
Big
ran
12,
from
Justin,
Texas. Let's be honest. A&M
but now
ran
to,
from Texas.
let's talk about your point about the Big 12, man. Yes, Texas didn't win the Big 12 to their last year. They were in the Big 12 championship a couple of times over that last 10 years.
hmm
And that's not the same Big 12 that it is today. It's a totally different Big 12, you know. And keep in mind, you like to bring up 10 years that they haven't, there was a long stretch where there wasn't a Big 12 championship. So let's speak in facts here. Let's
The
speak in.
fact is, that the Big 12 was dominated by Oklahoma for a long time.
And it
Yeah.
was, but also there was many years where there was not a Big 12 championship game, and when there was, Texas was in there a couple
I've
of
said it
times
from the
and
get
won
go.
it.
I've said it from the get go. Moving to the SEC was genius for Texas. I don't think it was so good for Oklahoma.
I think
I think it was a
Oklahoma.
mistake for Oklahoma.
I think Oklahoma is a lot closer than people want to give them credit for.
Yeah.
I think they're
Oklahoma's
they're
been on a
they're
slow
they're
build.
they're gone. Yeah, they're starting to get their recruits in. Lincoln Riley left. That's a big thing. They're starting to get that program back. I don't be surprised when you see Oklahoma right there in the thick of things.
hmm
I think Texas is far better than Oklahoma is.
But I will say this to bring back the original breaking news topic. Cody Campbell can be the best and worst thing to ever happen to Texas Tech at the same
Very
time.
true. Very true. Well, like I said earlier, he put them in a position where they better win or they're going to look stupid.
You put them in a position where Texas Tech was like, "Hey man, they're an underdog team. I'd love to see them win." And no fault to the players, but it's people like Cody Campbell, it's people like McGuire, who I still don't think is a good college coach. He was a great high school coach, not a good college coach. Uh, your fan base, you guys haven't won anything ever. You know, it it ever like it's what do you have to hang your hat on? You know what I mean? Besides the one women's NCAA title from
They hung
how
their hat
long
on
ago?
beating Texas a couple times.
And see, that's the thing is now. So now what has happened is the things that us Longhorn fans, especially around the Lubbock area, have been saying for years is now being displayed on a national level. This is nothing new. It's just now there's Cody Campbell brought such a spotlight that now everybody can see it. And in one season, he's turned Tech from the underdog story that you can get behind to God, those guys are annoying, pretentious pricks.
And the only way it pays off is if you win. Let's be honest.
But
Which is
yeah,
not
because
looking likely.
now you're a bad guy. Now you're a hated team. Now you that's regardless, right? Now you're on the level of people hate y'all. People gonna want to see y'all lose. So at least make it worth it and win something. Um, Look, you can spend all the money in the world you want, Justin, on players. Here's my problem: softball needs a better decision maker in the big moments. Okay,
Mhm.
I think we have enough sample size to realize that when the pitching ain't working, Texas head softball coach doesn't know what else to do.
He does. That's facts.
Yep.
And Joey McGuire, again, I think is a solid coordinator at best, a great high school coach. He is not a good college coach. People forget, Justin, me and you have said this on several occasions. Before all this money got spent, people were calling for his job. He's done
Rightfully so.
nothing different.
Yeah.
He's done nothing different. They've just brought in better players. And the Oregon game left with a goose egg. There was no adjustment.
Well,
So
and a lot of
the
it too is what to Stark's credit is that schedule. And I thought after losing that way in the playoffs last year, they would adjust and say, "Hey, we need to have better competition
well,
throughout the season to be ready for that moment." And they did. Their schedule's worse this year than it was last year.
well, and you got to remember that a lot of these schedules are agreed to 2 years out. So
Yeah. These are made way in advance.
there's rumors about the Notre Dame game next year, possibly Notre Dame and Tech. That's a good one, but and you don't need a monster non-conference schedule, but you need one, maybe two. Because here's the problem for Tech, right? If with their schedule this year, if they slip on a banana peel and lose, let's say Dion pulls off the win,
Oh, you have nothing to
you're
stand
out.
on.
Oh,
You
You're
have
out.
nothing to stand on.
we saw that last year, remember, because it got into a big race for second place because so many teams had 3 losses and they were all in the
Yep.
conference. One team had a better conference record than the other one. You could slip and not even make it with a better record,
Yeah,
especially with
You
the
Tech,
know, and
long
they're
Tech,
they're
Tech
they're
would have to go
expanding
undefeated to even.
and they're expanding the playoff, but now that puts more pressure on you because now there's more other teams that are gonna
Mhm.
have a shot at it.
Yeah.
I
A
mean, it's
lot
like you said at the end of the day, and I did hear a good point from Texas' point of view is that if you take that game week one at Tech, even though that's probably an easy game for Texas, you still do got to go to Ohio State week two.
hmm I think that's for sure. Like a lot of people are missing that. Coach Sark is saying the same point. At least a lot of these schedules are like really soft, and people are just waltzing their way into that CFP, off beating a bunch of nobodies and having maybe one tough game out of the whole year.
Well, and I think that's something we all agreed on last year about Texas not making the playoffs. Is that look, man, they might have 3 losses, but yet they're scheduled. They beat way better competition. That is an issue. I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah, but again,
The Florida
I'm not
game's
one of these
good though.
Texas. Yeah, that's the thing is, as a Texas fan, the problem is the Florida game is unexcusable.
hmm
As a Texas fan, we can't sit here and bitch about how we didn't make the playoffs last year because there's a reason why. You beat Florida, I think you're a no brainer in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Well, I
And like
think
You
I
know,
said, I think Texas would have been the third best team in the playoffs. I don't think you're beating Miami, and no one's beating Indiana. You might have beat Miami, but no one's beating Indiana last year anyway.
uh, I I think yeah, I
I
think
think
Texas and Ohio State would have been a hell of a rematch. Um, Texas and Oregon, I think Texas beats Oregon last
I do
year.
too. I agree.
The interesting matchup would have been Texas and Texas Tech. That would have been, that would have been one to watch. Because I feel like this year the offense is going to mature. Arch is going to be, in full
Well,
swing.
I mean, if I'm being honest as a Tech fan, after watching what did happen in the Oregon game, I just don't. I don't think if Oregon can hold Tech shut out, I think Texas would have done the same.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, but I think it's still a very close game, and I think that Texas Tech last year had the defense to force you to make a mistake.
Well, and that's what I try to
But
tell Tech fans about who want that game this year. I said, buddy, you're not returning anybody. Your whole defense is gone. You lost
yeah,
your
see,
receivers. I
if
mean,
we're
that's
gonna
what.
talk about like they actually play week one, I think Texas is a heavy favorite. I mean,
Heavy favorite. They'd have to be. And if you're a Tech fan and you think that you'd win that game, you're just smoking on something that you need to put
yeah,
down
because
because,
that's the problem with
you
the
don't know
way
what your
you're doing.
starting defense looks like.
well, and I don't care if you're in the
That's the
NFL. I
problem.
don't care what level of football you're in. You're not going to lose that much talent and be the same team. I don't care who you are.
That's the problem is he's talking like you're gonna win these games. You have to win these games now. There's no fucking up. You can't even if you make the CFP, you cannot go out the same way you went out last year. You got to at least advance to the next round.
And I think Tech will win the Big 12, but it's just a matter. I just don't think you're near as good as you were
But
last year.
like I said, it's gonna go back to this for me though. For Texas Tech, they're a prime example that the NIL can do a lot of good things. Whoa, okay, there you go. But without you still have to have good coaching. And I mean, Tech.
Hmm.
How much money did Tech spend on three major sports last year? You know, uh, they spent a lot of money on softball. They spent a lot of money on basketball and football. And while they might have got to the tournaments, Tech got back to the softball World Series final. They're coming up short when it counts the most. What good is it to pay all that money for just a regular season? You know what I mean? That's Tech's gonna have to address the issue of good coaching at some point, sooner rather than later. That's why I think the Texas Tech football team is gonna be. They extended McGuire, which I think was a mistake, and they're gonna be snake bitten by that. At least 2 years before they I think finally smarten up and buy him out and start looking at a good head coach.
Yeah, because for sure that Big 12 championship saved him, as y'all said. Y'all last year was pretty much his last chance, so he had to capitalize on something, and he did. I agree. I wouldn't have extended him to the point that he did, but I would have gave him another year to at least try. Justin, what do you think? Well, we know you kind of agree that you wouldn't have gone with them. Do you have a thought of who would you hire as the Texas Tech football coach? Who would you bring in on your end?
All right, repeat that. I'm sorry, you kind of cut out.
Who do you? What are your thoughts? We kind of know you agreed with not extending him. If McGuire was gone, who would you want in place? And do you think he at least earned that extra year from winning the Big 12?
I mean, you're going to bring him back this year regardless. But I think now you won the Big 12, you got to the playoffs. That was a step. Now you have to do something in the playoffs, and if you don't, then bye, because that's where you got to get to. You got to get to that point where winning it all needs to be the goal, and that's never been the goal for Tech. An issue with Tech has always been like try to win the Big 12, try to beat these certain teams, and that's a losing mentality, which Tech has had for a long time, and I've been on record saying that as a Tech fan. They have a loser's mentality. They always have.
Obviously,
if you're Cody Campbell, you need to make that like thing is that we need a winning culture, and by winning culture, that means trying to win championships. And I use the Cowboys for example. When everyone talks shit about Cowboy fans, and every year is our year. Yeah, we hope so, because the only goal for a Cowboys fan is a Super Bowl. Nothing else matters. Winning the NFC East isn't enough. Getting to the NFC Championship isn't enough. It's not enough.
Now, I will say this. Obviously, we got to see how the year plays out, see what candidates and coordinators look good, Matt. But if I was Tech, I would, and this doesn't go well this year, I would spend whatever necessary to go get the coach from Notre Dame.
Yes.
You put him with that recruiting system of Texas Tech and that money behind Texas Tech will have a winning program.
And you might, and if you're Tech, it might be the best move to go ahead and do that, because let's be honest, in the past, Tech wasn't a pretty job. Well, now if you're a coach, if you're a really elite head coach, you say, man, I got all the money I could want and all the recruiting I could want. I could buy anybody. It's a better looking job and an easier conference. So if you're a really elite head coach, the Tech job looks better than ever. Where in the past it's kind of like, But now you have all the resources that you need to win at Tech if you're a good coach, which is also is bad for Joey McGuire, because, buddy, you have as many resources as anybody in college football. You're ranked to have the number one facilities. You spend more money than, whatever. So, it should be an enticing job.
Have they ever paid Mike Leach what they owed him? The family,
I think they did. They had to.
I think Tech needs to do something huge, because I don't care what nobody says. I love this argument with Tech fans, because look, there's no better coach in Texas Tech football history than Mike Leach. There's no better quarterback at Texas Tech that played at Texas Tech. The best quarterback was Graham Harrell, and if you don't think so,
Isn't he an assistant somewhere right now?
Yeah, he's an assistant coach for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, Sonny Cumbie did a decent job over at TCU. I mean, Tech's got alumni too that you don't
Mhm.
think of Graham Harrell, even if he's just an OC, right? Look at the momentum you got. Regardless of the outcome,
Ooh.
just the impact that Cliff Kingsbury brought back to Texas Tech.
Mhm.
You know, but yeah, I think there's something Tech's got to right that wrong with the Leach legacy.
Mhm.
Um,
I'm
because I
pretty
don't
sure
feel
they did
like
make that payment. I think they did
But
pay
but
the
but
family
but what
what
I'm
they.
saying is I feel like they've still never really like righted the wrong in the sense of like Mike Leach needs to be like, in my
Hey,
opinion,
you need to put him
he
in the Ring of Honor, build him a statue. Come on, let's
yeah,
be honest.
because
Mike Leach
he's
made Lubbock relevant.
Yeah.
he's goaded as far as, and I'm not a Tech fan, but just as a pure football fan,
You know the name
Mike
and you
Leach
know popular.
Mike Leach is goaded. He took Tech further than they've ever been.
Or
Tech
let's be
was
honest, when
one.
you came and played Tech with Mike Leach, they weren't great all the time, but you better score.
Well,
Mhm.
and look. At the end of the day, Mike Leach had Texas Tech one
One
game
game
away
away
from a
from.
national championship.
Mhm.
You beat Oklahoma that year, you're in the Natty.
I've always said too. You know what? Karma came back and bit Tech in the ass with that whole Mike Leach thing. Is I said, see, if you wouldn't have been stupid, Texas Tech, you might have ended up getting Pat Mahomes with Mike Leach. Just maybe.
Good
What
Yeah,
point.
could
but
have
I
been.
don't even think with Mike Leach. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think with Mike Leach, I think he's sticking with Baker at that time.
Which might not have been a bad thing either.
I think so that Baker Mayfield fits more of Mike Leach's style and his attitude. You know what I mean? The chip on the shoulder, the real, hype about everything. Like that works. Not even just
Yeah,
a
because
small.
Mahomes was a bet for the air raid offense, even though he wasn't. Like I said, I'm not taking away, but I just hate this, revisionist history. If you want to talk about greatest from Tech to play in the NFL, yes, obviously it's
Well,
Patrick
no, everyone
Mahomes.
needs to be honest about Mahomes too, though. Is that Andy Reid has a lot to do with Pat Mahomes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
and sitting a year behind Alex Smith.
Yes.
Who knows if Pat Mahomes goes later to, say anybody
Anywhere
else, if
else,
he
yeah.
anywhere else, is he
Well,
even close to what he is?
let's like put the hypothetical there because it was no secret. After Patrick Mahomes gets drafted by the Chiefs, the Houston Texans immediately trade up and then they grab Deshaun Watson, thinking somebody else will get him. So that kind of says they would have took Mahomes if he was just there. If you put Mahomes with the Texans squad that was terrible throughout those years, probably doesn't develop the same, like y'all said.
And so, speaking of that, though, right? Let's talk about making a great quarterback. Uh, Eric Bieniemy for a head coaching job in college. Like, why is that name
Oh,
never floated out for a college head coaching job?
It
Yeah,
seems
I'm
like
pretty surprised about that.
he's always lingered in that NFL head coach, but he gets to the interviews and never gets the job. I would want to know what he says in those
Yeah,
interviews.
there's something there that they're not liking, right?
But let's think. We know for a fact he develops quarterbacks, right? Same thing
Mhm.
with Cliff Kingsbury. That was his thing. You got the money now. If you got a head coach who's a quarterback NFL draft prospect machine, that's even more enticing.
Actually, I got a name that Texas Tech should think about at least. Go buy out Matt Rule out of Nebraska, bro. That's a solid college coach.
Yeah, that's a good college coach.
Matt
Here's the
Rule.
thing, though. Since we're talking about coaching, though, I will say this: this is a make or break season for Sark.
Yes. Yes.
You've got to. You've been to the semis twice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've done well. This is it right here. You know, because Archer's probably gone. A lot of the offense is probably gone.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to cash the chips in right now. If you're gonna ever do it, Sark, because I don't hold the Quinn Ewers. I'm sorry. I seen a TikTok today, guys. Quinn Ewers is not even a top 5 Longhorn quarterback.
No.
Okay,
No.
he
No.
Quinn Ewers can't hold Sam Ellinger's jockstrap. Okay,
Yeah.
let's be clear about that. Um, but yeah, so I don't hold those against Sark, but Sark this year, you know,
Yeah,
barring
because you have a
injuries,
squad in Texas.
I,
barring injuries,
you
you've got to
can
get it done.
You can kind of hold it against Sark though because that's who he chose at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it might
I
have been the
think,
best option he
but
had, though.
yeah, I think for development of Arch, that was the smartest move
Well, I'm even
because
recruiting, bro. If you can snag Ohio State quarterbacks, you could have grabbed somebody else.
yeah, but not like I said, Ewers played. I don't want to discredit Ewers either.
He wasn't bad, but we know
He
in the big
just,
moment he
but
just disappeared.
what we learned was that Quinn Ewers is not a big game quarterback.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah, but
but
that's hard to hold against the coach too. If he's playing well all season, and then he gets to that big
exactly,
moment, then you can't. There's
exactly.
only one way to find that out, and that's in that
And
moment.
and
after
and
3 years,
and,
Justin, I
and
know where he's gonna
let
fold. I know
let
exactly where he's gonna
but
fold.
but also let me defend Quinn Ewers a little bit because in that Washington game, there was a ball right in the chest of one of the Texas receivers in the end zone, and the receiver dropped it. That
Mhm.
wins the game. Okay, so I'm not gonna just be
Well,
too
it's not
hard
like
on Quinn.
it's what it is like last year. Last year, your defense was absolutely the best it's been in a while. It was elite.
And yes, to be fair, there is those moments like in the Washington game, but then there's the moments like in the Ohio State game where here it comes right on cue. Quinn Ewers folds in the moment.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So that Ohio State game was more of a fold, where the Washington game, you can't put on Quinn right now. But here we are. Arch is that guy. I think Arch is proven to be who we thought he is. The offense is going to be better. The defense is going to be better.
I think
Again, barring injury, I just feel like if us as Texas, we're looking at Sark like if you're ever going to do it, you got to do it now.
because for sure Arch
Arch
Manning
won't be
showed
back
up a
next
lot
year.
better than a lot of people are giving him credit for.
And,
Throughout the season, he got better and better and better, and he kind of put the bow on it with that bowl game. Granted, it was a super easy game, but he showed his IQ very high in that game.
and Arch Manning will not be here next year.
Yes, no, he's going to the draft. He's gone. He's gone.
Unless you offer him an ungodly amount of money.
Yeah, unless you give him a lot of money, then he's not coming back. Hey, but Joseph, while I got you here, you love some good political news. Let's talk about what's happening on the White House lawn this Sunday on Paramount Plus. Justin, the UFC makes their debut here in DC at the White House. This is their main card, starting with Diego Lopez, followed by a heavyweight bout with Derek Lewis. And you got a lot of good Americans debuting themselves. Bo Nickel, Michael Chandler's back, Sean O'Malley's back in the ring, followed by the heavyweight debut of Pereira and Gon, with your main event being Ilya Taporia taking on Justin Gaethje. Joseph, not pointing out any matchups, do you think this event is going to be a success in terms of just getting off and happening? Anybody? No? Yes?
I
Maybe?
think. Well, okay, I'll go first while he's waiting. I think. You know what I've noticed? If you look at this card as a UFC fan, I can look at this card and see. You know what they did with this card? They knew I think the UFC is hearing the complaints about they've had a lot of big moments recently that were kind of boring fights where a dude's just holding a guy. Well, if you look at this card overall, it's a lot of stand up, right? These are a lot of stand up guys.
Yeah, a lot of stand-up guys going on here. This is
Now,
gonna
I think your main event is pretty good just because Justin Gaethje is such a wild card. But I've been seeing a lot of Americans hope that Gaethje's going to win that fight. And I'm trying to tell people that's not going to happen.
sure is.
This is a good card. I don't care what he says. This is a good card. It's going to be it's a spectacle.
Yes.
And it's a good card. I'm very interested in the Pereira fight going up at heavyweight against Cyril Gane. People forget how good Cyril Gane is because of the way that he lost to John Jones, but that dude is insane, explosive.
Yes. No, the way he lost to John, but then the way he looked good, and he looked surprisingly good against Tom Aspinall. Also.
It looked like he was going to beat Aspinall. Let's be honest.
But I think you hit the nail right on the head, bro. It's gonna be a spectacle. Like just a couple weeks ago, bro, we heard that We heard like I heard people watched boxing just because there was fights in front of the pyramids. Now there has been this word which I was trying to ask him, but he left. Supposedly a lawsuit that's going around trying to stop it as of this hour it's happening. So there's nothing news coming forward beyond that there is a lawsuit attempting to stop this event. But the fact
Donald Trump is behind it. It's not going to be stopped.
the fact that it's gonna be fights in front of the White House, bro, is the icing on the cake for all of this. Because there's gonna be two guys that are gonna walk out from either side of the White House lawn and have a fight. How cool is that gonna look, bro?
That's awesome. I mean, come on. It's insane. It's insane. I never thought when I first heard about it, I was like, yeah, right, whatever. But you have let's be honest, you have a crazy ass dude at the helm at the White House. So, I mean, with Donald Trump, anything's possible. So,
it's no secret that instead of Saturday, this takes place on a Sunday. Like they made it for essentially a Donald Trump.
the only L that I say is that in your two main events at the White House, you're not going to have an American win, which is why I thought John Jones was a shoe-in.
Oh, of course, Al Sharpton. Good for him. Now, enough fangirling about it. Let's talk about the true logistics about it, bro. So on Sunday, they're looking at about 90 degrees, but super high humidity from a thunderstorm that'll just be leaving the DC area that morning. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be sticky. Do you think that proposes any dangers to the fighters themselves, bro? What do you think about that factor? Do you think
that's a good factor? That's insane.
They're gonna be banging in there, bro. So we're gonna see guys just kind of maybe getting super gassed and probably hurting there. What do you think?
Well, especially when you look at the fights like Derek Lewis, his fight, those guys, Pereira. How's Pereira going to handle that just going up to heavyweight?
Yeah.
I think people like O'Malley and them are going to be fine. I think Taporia and Gaethje will be fine. But I think it's those bigger guys who like lean more on quick, explosive power, need to knock someone out. That's going to be the issue there. I mean, that's going to affect anybody. 90 degrees and humidity.
Not only that, bro, Michael Chandler's been off a long time, and your first fight is outside in the humidity.
Yeah, that's horrible. Against a good guy, too.
On one of the biggest stages you're going to have the entire point of your career. No title fight, no McGregor fight, maybe a prime McGregor fight. This is the biggest stage you're ever going to have in your career this Sunday. And the stakes have never been higher.
I mean, let's be honest. UFC's trying to pull out all the stops. They got this White House card, and then in a month's time after, you're going to get, your Golden Goose back fighting Holloway, which I think is a weird fight, an old fight, but
Yeah, bro. Shout out to John Giannis, represented Plainview here. Came up short on his fight Saturday. Great guy. We did train with him. He will definitely bounce back, bro. Strong-headed, shouldered guy. I feel like the UFC will keep him around. They love his style and his personality. He's just, bounce back and come back together, bro. But a lot of foreigners from soccer complaining about the U.S. heat. Will it be the same here? That is true, bro. If you're not from around the area, you got to get acclimated quite well. That's why you brought up a great point with it's Pereira's first fight at heavyweight, and these are the conditions you're in. I don't even think at a proper elevation you could prepare for what's going to happen outside. And not only that, bro, if it's gonna be like humid and sticky and it just rains, there's gonna be bugs everywhere, right? Or there should be like mosquitoes and like locusts up there in that area in the Northeast.
Yeah, and it's just something that you need to prepare for, because on the day of the fight, let's be honest too, your adrenaline's pumping. You're going to be breathing a little heavy, because of the stakes. So everything's going to be elevated to a higher intensity. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it.
Now, I do think they picked the right 2, 3, 4 guys to open the card, though, with Diego Lopez. And then you got what I think is going to be the sacrificing of Derek Lewis, because this Hogan dude is phenomenal. I don't know if you've seen Hogan fight, dude.
I think this could be Derek Lewis's last fight. Yeah.
He could scrap, bro. Derek Lewis is on the older side. This guy's on the way up. They're trying to prompt him up and boast.
Let's be honest. Lewis has only got one hope in this fight, and it's to land that one bomb.
Yeah, to knock him out. That's the only shot.
Because Hogan is a problem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
But like I was saying about that main event, if anybody thinks, Justin Gaethje I've been trying to tell people who are like the Americans who are like, oh, he's a wild child. He's going to win. The problem with Justin Gaethje is he takes shots, and that is the last guy that he can afford to take those kind of shots. If Holloway can put Gaethje to sleep, I think Topuria is putting him to sleep.
What is the don't miss fight on this card, bro? What is the fight? We got to sit down. We got to cover this. What's the don't miss on this one, you think?
I think the don't miss is the Pereira and Gone. Because that's such an interesting fight.
Mm-hmm. Great fight.
Because Pereira is
crazy though to watch both fight from that, right? How quickly?
Let's be honest. They needed someone.
How quickly does the UFC either move on making a Tom Aspinall fight or just elevating Pereira as the champion?
I think if Pereira wins that fight, that's the fight to make, right? And I think that's partly. I guarantee you, he got quite a bit of change to go up and try to save that heavyweight division.
Oh, I bet. I bet he got
because the heavyweight division has been struggling.
Brands and things they're sponsoring for him now.
Oh yeah. Because that
got a nice little bump of change on the side to do that. But that's what I'm saying, bro. If he is elevated as champion, that means they strip Tom and he gets his release as planned. Is that what that means?
Yeah, and then if Tom is gone, who's left for Pereira in the heavyweight division after he beats Sirigan if he wins?
Oh well, they got that fucking Gable Stevenson coming up from the Olympics, and they taught him how to fight. So let's hope that that's the next American heavyweight you can boast, because he's getting a little bit of attention, bro. But to me, he lacks a lot of defense, bro. He's got what my brother calls face first defense, and the right guy is gonna catch him, bro. Definitely for sure. Oh yeah, if Eddie Hearn starts managing, if situations, not even just Eddie Hearn, but if outside forces begin to represent and break down these contracts in the open that the UFC has in these fighters, it's gonna get ugly out there, bro. It's gonna get real.
It needs to happen anyway. The UFC's been screwing over fighters' bags for a long time.
No, Dana White asked for a reaction, and this is what the reaction to that was, Justin. Now we're gonna move just to some quick news and notes. As we said, we talked about it real quick, bro. What did you think of that Women's College World Series? I feel like it wasn't as heavily as anticipated as last year's matchup. It still was pretty good. That game 2 especially was very good. But what do you think about that Texas Tech and Texas softball matchup, bro?
Well, I thought it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. I said whoever won that first game was going to win it. I think people underestimated Texas. Texas was the number 1 seed for a reason. They were damn good all year. And I said this going into that matchup. I said Tech has won a lot of games with nail biting.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's almost like in any sport when you see that team that has won, like in the NFL, for example. If you get a team that last year won, 9 to 10 games by 1 score, that usually catches up with them next year if they don't do anything about it, and it's a problem. And I saw that same issue going on with Tech all season. Even throughout the whole playoffs, they were winning games very closely.
And I didn't see it that way for some reason, bro. I only saw it as like that was just their grit, right? They're able to just overcome these, and it was never really a problem for me. But then the way you started talking about it, when you're like, no, it's them scraping by barely in games they should be winning, especially. But I never took that sign. But then they get up against Texas, and what happens in that series happens.
It's only happening, a time here, a time there, and you're able to pull it out. But when it seems to be happening every game, every series, every other game, you're scraping by, then there's something wrong there.
You know what? 2 points.
Teams dominate,
bro. With the Tennessee game, and then that second game against Bama when that freshman came back in, because she shut them down. They just weren't able to score.
Well, look at Texas when they beat Tennessee twice. They dominated.
Mm-hmm.
That's what great teams do. They dominate. They don't scrape by.
Yes. I just I don't know, bro. I just felt like it was going to be, especially because they had staffed that roster so much better. But as my brother points out here, a managerial mistake. That happened a lot, and I see why a lot of people are calling for a change, bro, in that staff. Because it's just like in football. We're spending a lot of money for what result?
Yeah. It's just one of those things, bro, where I can see the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, bro. And another quick note, just bouncing to the NFL right back real quick. AJ Brown was traded as expected, joining his former head coach Mike Vrabel to the Patriots. Justin, what do you think this says? What do you think is more to watch now? The AJ Brown situation? Because I know we all saw it. It was everybody took their turn and laughed at the Eagles because AJ Brown was the one fucking leaking the stories and telling the media all these things, but he said it was quote to motivate them when we really, you want it out of there, bro. It was no secret. If you're gonna be honest all the way. Do you think this says more about what's gonna happen with AJ and the Patriots, or do you think this says more of now Jalen and the Eagles need to improve on this year from getting what they called the problem out of the building?
I think both teams are not going to be very good. Just my honest opinion. I think, like I just alluded to with Ted, I think the Patriots, a lot of that, what happened to them, how many close games were they winning?
Mm.
I don't think that they're going to be, and I doubted them all last year, but I'm going to do it again. I just don't think that they're going to, I don't think they're going to be that great. And I think Philly has been what we thought they were, man. And we knew, I mean, me and Joseph called it from the beginning. Their head coach does nothing well. If
Yeah.
Philly does not have a great coordinator, they are terrible.
So do you think it's more on Philly to prove something now compared to AJ Brown? Because we know
Because Philly won a Super Bowl a few years ago. What do they care?
I mean, but now it's like, okay, if this was the problem, because I think you and I can safely assume AJ Brown respects Mike Vrabel a lot more than he respected anybody at the Eagles, so he'll fall in line.
Absolutely. But I mean,
okay, if this guy's the problem and he's the one doing all this shit, everything should be fine over here, right? That's what, as a Philly fan, that's what you should expect, no?
well, I think it's on both of them, right? Who's going to win that argument, right? Was AJ Brown right? Was Philly right? I think it's on whoever, and they could both be ass. We don't know. We'll find out.
But I think it's more on Philly to prove that point, though, bro. Is what I'm saying. I think it's more on Philly.
I just don't think Philly's that good.
I get that, bro, but like, they can have the same situation and have a lot less infight.
Well, I think both of them were in the wrong, right? Because I think if you're AJ, you can't be saying that shit when y'all are having issues. You need to keep that shit in locker room. And if you're Philly, he called you out on your shit, and he was right about it. Y'all were ass.
You could, because you could easily find yourself in the Brandon Ayuk situation, bro, where it's like, there was somebody that wanted AJ. Nobody seemingly wants to deal with Brandon Ayuk and his problem.
Well, and there's also a lot of issues coming out of that locker room from more than just AJ. After AJ started saying that, was all that shit we started hearing about Jalen Hurts. A lot of people didn't like playing for him. And when I remember watching Hard Knocks in the end season Hard Knocks, and I remember it was so funny. It looked like people just looked at Jalen Hurts and was just like, "Shut up, dude."
Yeah, like, bro, like they looked at him like he was a substitute teacher, bro. Like I was like,
bro.
Yeah.
And imagine. This is my point. How bad do you actually have to be coming off of a Super Bowl MVP and the very next season as Super Bowl champion, your team's looking at you like you're a damn idiot? Yeah. I mean, what is going on?
That's the problem. If they don't have confidence in you, that's a huge
after you just won the Super Bowl, there's a big issue there.
Yeah, but that's why Philly will always have their own problem with its fans. But ladies and gentlemen,
it comes down to head coaching.
That's gonna be the show today, everybody. I want to shout out to everybody that tuned in on and off. Shout out to Joseph for joining the show again. We will be live later in the week.
Sorry about the dude who claimed to be a professional and just abruptly left as we were asking a question. That's very unprofessional.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will be back later this week because we're going to keep you up to date with the NBA Finals. We're obviously going to go live for the UFC White House card. I'm obviously going to try to go live either with Justin if he decides to tune in or with my friends over at Infighting FX as Bam Rodriguez returns to the ring this Saturday. 2 Texas Mexicans fighting in Arizona. Justin, what sense does that make? But we will be live again later this week. Check the notifications. Stay tuned in here to Talking About Radio on YouTube. And peace.